Welcome back to Weeknight Mysteries podcast. My name is Yuras and I am here with my co-host Rain.
As always, hello.
Welcome back to the podcast. We're going to be talking about a case that has been suggested by one of the commenters on the YouTube channel, a user named Parker Curry.
5194. Hello and thank you for the suggestion.
Yeah, this person was very adamant that we talk about the Lauren Spierer case. I personally have heard about Lauren's case in the past, and I definitely talked about it on the podcast, but on the other podcast. Have you ever heard about Lauren's case?
Definitely not. I am not even sure if it's as big as Maura Murray's case. Is it?
I think it's probably...
On par?
it's one of the biggest cases in Indiana, so...
Because I only heard of the big ones like Maura Murray.
Maura Murray, yeah, I would say it's like a globally famous case.
But I was surprised at, when I was doing my research, I was surprised at how much coverage this case has.
Lauren Spierer case has quite a bit of coverage.
There was even a book.
There's a book. I think there's a lot of people making content on it, and look at us. We're also doing that today.
Yeah.
So Lauren, for the people who are not aware, Lauren was a 20-year-old student at Indiana University, and she disappeared on Friday, June 3rd, 2011. She vanished after an evening out at Kilroy's Sports Bar in Bloomington, Indiana. Bloomington is a city in Indiana, and it's basically the flagship location for the Indiana University. So, Indiana University has, I think, facilities all across Indiana State, but the biggest facility, as I understand, is located in Bloomington. Bloomington itself is not a very big city, but it's a university city. So you have a lot of, let's say, students, people who are not there permanently, people who are there just, for studies. And then you have the local residents, of whom there's not that many. I don't know exact numbers, how many people live in Bloomington, but as far as I know, it's not that much.
And I bet some of them have businesses. Since it's close to such a big university, I would start my own business.
In Bloomington. Well, Bloomington actually had a lot of development over the years. It's actually one of the clues that we're going to be talking about later on as well. Like, there's been a lot of constructions happening actually at the time of Lauren's disappearance and also after she went missing. Lauren is the daughter of Charlene and Robert Spierer. She grew up in New York State in a city, or let's say a town called Scarsdale. It's kind of close to New York City in general. In 2009, she enrolled in Indiana University. So by the time when she went missing in 2011, that my understanding is that she was on her second year of studies there. Definitely not the first year, And she was studying textiles merchandising.
That one's pretty interesting to me. It's not related in any way in the case, but it's just an interesting decision. Such an interesting major. So niche.
Textiles merchandising?
Never even heard of it, honestly.
Yeah, I haven't heard of that one either. But we have even crazier niche stuff here in Lithuania.
Like English.
No, not English. We have literally a study program called EuroLeague.
Oh, no.
Which is EuroLeague is basically the top basketball league in Europe, and you could study EuroLeague.
I guess you could be a coach after?
No, you can't.
A commentator?
I don't think you can do anything with that one.
Yeah, that's way more odd.
Yeah, so there's stranger majors.
This one
there.
is just oddly specific.
Yeah.
Textiles.
Lauren met her boyfriend, Jesse Wolfe, and Her other friend, Jay Rosenbaum, both of these men will play a role in this case. She met both of them years prior to her disappearance, even before she even went to this university, at Camp Tawanda, which was a summer camp in the mountain town of Honesdale, Pennsylvania. She also met other people there, it is stated in the Wikipedia, of whom many of them became her basically circle of friends in Indiana University. So it's kind of interesting how she met a bunch of people, outside of the state of Indiana, but later on they all kind of went to Indiana University.
And it's not as if it's close by, you know.
It's not, but I don't really know how it kind of went down, but perhaps, Lauren and Jesse Wolf. I think Jesse was the boyfriend for 3 years up to Lauren's disappearance. So I feel like they probably both decided to go to the same university so they could be kind of closer to each other.
Probably. Do you think Lauren...
If they're not from the same location. I have no idea where Jesse Wolf is from.
Mm-hmm. No. Do you think Lauren, her boyfriend Jesse, and the other friend Jay, which will play a role in this case, do you think they all know each other, or
I think so.
Lauren is just a common friend?
I feel
meant
like
Jesse and Jay. Did they know each other?
so. This was never mentioned specifically, but I'm just assuming that they know each other. But this was never mentioned in my research. So on the night when she disappeared, Lauren was actually out. She was drinking with several friends. Her boyfriend, Jesse Wolf, stated that he did not go out with Lauren or any of her friends that evening. Instead, he was texting back and forth with Lauren before he went to bed. And according to witnesses, Lauren was very intoxicated that night, and her intoxication levels most likely contributed to her disappearance in some way.
It's pretty sad because by the looks of it, and by all accounts, it seems like Lauren was well liked and very sociable.
All right, sorry, we had to pause because I started coughing like crazy. I was sipping some tea, and oh my god, I don't know what happened.
It's so crazy.
Yeah, please continue what you were saying.
Yeah, as I was saying, just like any other college kid, she seemed like she was just having so much fun. She was out there drinking, partying, regular. But there was one night that basically changed everything.
Yeah, and that was June 3rd, 2011. So let's talk a little bit about the timeline, the information that we know about her disappearance. So Bloomington police used video surveillance footage and witness statements to create a timeline of Lauren's whereabouts before her disappearance. So let's walk through the timeline to paint a better picture here. It all started in the Friday, June 3rd, 2011, in the evening at 12:30 a.m. So this is slightly past midnight. Witnesses reported that Lauren had left her apartment with a friend named David Ron. Okay, so the two of them went to a different apartment complex where Jay Rosenbaum was living. And there she later met up with Corey Rossman, who was Jay Rosenbaum's neighbor. So I think this could be quite difficult to understand.
There's a lot of names right now, yep.
Yeah, so I could break it down one more time. So Lauren and David Tron, the two of them, they live in one apartment complex. I think it's maybe like a student apartment complex, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then Jay Rosenbaum and Corey Rossman, another two guys that kind of will play a role in this case, they live in a different apartment complex.
Mm-hmm. And from what I can remember, Jay was her old friend that she met in a camp, I believe.
Yes.
Way back.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
We have a couple of pictures here of David Tron and Corey Rossman as well. So I went on to Google Maps and I tried to figure out how far away is this other apartment complex that, initially Lauren and
David.
David Ron went to. So it's only a half a mile away. So it's a 10-minute walk, just a couple of blocks down the road. According to the Herald Times, I found another kind of source that stated some information about this point in the timeline. Lauren attended a party hosted by Jay Rosenbaum at 5 North Townhomes. 5 North Townhomes is that other apartment complex, where they were heading towards. Afterwards, she went 2 doors down to a different apartment where Corey Rossman was living. And Corey Rossman encouraged Lauren to join him at Kilroy's Sports Bar that evening.
Okay. So sorry. Just for everyone to keep up with this, there are so many names, but basically Lauren and David, they were together and they were walking to Jay's apartment
Yes, that is correct.
to meet up with another dude, Corey. Corey is the roommate.
No, sorry. So Jay and Corey, they're not roommates.
Oh, okay.
But they live in the same apartment complex. They live in 2 different units. So at first, David and Lauren, they went to Jay's place because Jay's place had some sort of a party happening there. But later on, Lauren went to Corey Rossman's place, which is which is a completely different unit in the same apartment complex.
Because there's another party happening there?
Yeah, I think so.
Jeez.
Okay, man, I'm really battling this post-tea, cough, throat nonsense, but I think I just drank some water. Hopefully, I can keep going here. What a great time to choke on some tea, then literally in the first few minutes of a
No
podcast.
worries, no pressure, no one's rushing you. Take your time.
Yeah. So actually, I don't know if Corey Rossman was having a party as well.
But he was the one who invited Lauren to go to the sports bar.
Yeah.
But my question is, did he also invite David, who was with Lauren at that time? In
So
theory.
we know that David went back home to the apartment where he was living, and he never left it. So David decided to
Call it a day.
call it
night.
a day. Yeah. I found another Reddit source that used some other media outlets as their basis for their information. And this Reddit source stated that there were approximately 10 people at Corey Rossman's apartment. So this is a bit of an interesting moment for me because according to several sources, we have a party happening at Jay's place and we have a party happening at Corey's place. I'm imagining that it's like this, college apartment complex where there's basically a party happening in every unit on a Friday.
Yeah, I can imagine. Probably no one's sleeping at that hour.
Yeah, and also there were reports of heavy drinking and even drug use. So yeah, by midnight, David Ron decides to head back to his apartment, and David and Lauren, the two of them, they were living at Small Woods Plaza apartment complex. So he went back to the Smallwood apartment complex and he did not leave it, according to the surveillance footage. So,
Okay, so far he's out of the picture for now, I guess.
yeah, for sure. Definitely. So then the next time point, we have 1:46 a.m. So this is, I think, an hour afterwards. Lauren is seen entering Kilroy's sports bar.
With Corey, right? Or
Yeah.
just alone?
I think with Corey, just with Corey Rossman. So Kilroy's is around half a mile away from the 5 townhomes, where Corey and Jay was living at. And Kilroy's sports bar is actually really, really close to the Smallwood Plaza apartments where Lauren was living. And so the two of them went to Kilroy's. I have some images of the Kilroy's sports bar.
Oh my gosh, I just have to say this. It looks insanely packed.
Yeah.
Like, is this a queue outside?
Yeah, it looks like a queue.
Jeez, this is crazy.
I have no idea why you would wait such a queue, but maybe it's that fun in the Kilroy's.
Maybe it's also really fun while waiting in the queue. But it's
'Cause
just
honestly,
crazy packed.
I don't know why would people wait so much.
Okay, come on. You've been a college kid before. Okay, we get it.
Maybe. No, I graduated, but the experience we have in this country is
Definitely not a party
no,
experience.
it's like a 180 from the American experience, I would say. So we never had this. Like I never did this in my life. Have you ever experienced like a queue like this?
No, actually, nope.
And then the pictures from inside of the pub also look kind of crazy. I've even looked at some videos online, and yeah, that
So it
place
gets really busy.
it gets really packed. It gets really busy. I think it's probably like the biggest bar hangout area in the city in Bloomington.
Can you imagine working there as a bartender or a barista or
There's
something?
probably multiple of them. You know, it's just not one bartender. I think there's plenty.
Yeah, you probably get a lot of tips, but at the same time, it's like exhausting.
Yeah, it's busy work. So at 2:27 a.m., which is not even an hour later, Lauren is seen exiting the bar with Corey Rossman. So I think it's interesting because Lauren did not even spend 1 hour at the pub, and now she's leaving with Corey Rossman. Lauren left her cell phone and her shoes inside of the bar. She had taken off her shoes when she walked out onto the sand covered patio, and Corey walked with Lauren to her apartment complex, the Smallwood Plaza. So this immediately indicates that Lauren is really intoxicated, most likely because she left her phone and her shoes at the bar. Literally, the two things that, I mean, come on, like
She needed it.
the hardest things to leave, in my opinion.
Actually, the fact
So
that
she was barefoot.
Yeah.
So she was barefoot.
And do you think there is any chance, at least like 1% chance, that these items were recovered?
Yes.
Really?
The next day they were found.
Okay, that's good. At least nobody took it. Because it's a cell phone, come on.
So at 2:30, actually, this is actually completely according to the Google Maps estimate of how long it would take someone to go from the Kilroy's to the to the Smallwood Plaza, because according to the Google Maps, it would take you only 3 minutes of walking, and literally 3 minutes at 2:30 a.m. after midnight. Lauren is seen entering the Smallwood Plaza apartments where her residence is located. And a passerby named Zach Oakes noticed her level of intoxication and asked if she was okay. We have another source with a bit of a different information here. Once again, the Herald Times reports that after leaving the bar, Rossman helped Lauren to her apartment building and took her to her floor. He did not get into her apartment, which was 100 yards away from the elevator, but a group of people were concerned about the welfare of Lauren. They started arguing with Corey Rossman. I think the circumstance was that these people thought that Corey may want to take advantage of Lauren potentially because she was so intoxicated. Or there's another line of thinking out there that these people that ran into the two, ran into Corey and Lauren, they were friends of Jesse Wolf. the boyfriend of Lauren Spierer, and maybe they thought that maybe Corey Rossman is trying to make like some advances on Jesse's girlfriend. So one way or another, an altercation began, and Corey Rossman was punched in the face by Zach Oakes. And following this, assault on Corey Rossman, he says that he does not remember anything from that night due to his intoxication. What do you make of this hallway brawl at the Smallwood Plaza?
Nothing much to say. I mean, it seems like it speaks for itself. And I'm just concerned about. No, not really concerned, more like curious about that group of people who argued with Corey. How come they never really stepped up?
Stepped up in what way?
Step forward, I meant. Talked.
To whom?
To the police,
The police?
identified themselves.
I think they did to some extent, right? Like, look, Zach Oakes, we know his name, we know what he did.
Yeah, but what about the others who argued?
I think law enforcement know about him.
Probably not just public information.
Yeah.
Because I want to know, like, what kind of argument happened.
Yeah, it's interesting, but I think that the argument probably was because Lauren was really intoxicated, and they may have thought that
Corey was,
taken advantage. But then that's how I understand. But I think there's also a different scenario that could be happening there, but I would go with that one.
I would go with that one, yeah.
So 18 minutes later, at 2:48, after midnight, Lauren leaves the apartment with Corey. So she doesn't stay for some reason. She leaves. And
Jeez, 18 minutes of resting. Maybe not even resting.
maybe not even resting, just maybe stumbling around and trying to get out of the apartment complex.
Jeez.
So,
The energy levels are crazy.
so Lauren then enters an alley that runs between College Avenue and Morton Street.
Just a question. Was she
Yeah.
completely alone or was she still with Corey in this moment?
She was completely with Corey.
Okay.
She was completely with Corey. The two of them started walking through this alley. Security cameras mounted on the nearby apartments showed that she exited the alley at 2:51 a.m. and then walked towards an empty lot. Lauren's keys and purse were found along this route throughout the alley. So Lauren and Corey arrived at the 5 townhomes where Lauren and David Ron initially went earlier in the night. So what do you make of the fact that Lauren's stuff was scattered in the alley?
I'm actually surprised. I'm surprised that nobody stole it. Because it is a purse and her phone was also retrieved. I'm surprised at how these valuable items were somehow retrieved. Yeah.
Her keys were also there.
Exactly, right? And other than that, I don't really think much of it. I'm just thinking that maybe Lauren was really drunk. That she kept on stumbling around and things kept falling over her pocket or her bag or whatever.
She must have been seriously intoxicated. Witnesses claim in court documents that Lauren was so intoxicated, so incoherent, and unable to properly function that Corey Rossman was observed carrying Lauren slung across his back less than a block from his residence. So he was really just trying to get her to the apartment.
And also,
That's
he was
probably-
also drunk.
He was also badly drunk. So it's kind of crazy that these two people are not calling it a night
Yeah.
and still trying to go somewhere and do something. So now we bring in another person into the picture here, and this person is named Michael Beth. So Michael Beth was Corey Rossman's roommate. So Corey Rossman, as far as I understand, there were only two people living in his unit, which was himself and his roommate Michael Beth. So when Michael was at the apartment when Corey Rossman and Lauren, showed up. So Corey was very intoxicated, as well as Lauren. But Corey was stumbling and he vomited on the carpet on the way upstairs. So Michael stated that he escorted Corey to bed and then he went to Lauren and he tried to persuade Lauren to sleep over at their apartment for her own safety. But Lauren told him that she wanted to go back to her own apartment.
It's pretty crazy to me because she was way too drunk. And why did she go to Corey's apartment in the first place? Just to walk back all on her own to her place?
I think maybe the expectation was that they would still hang out, maybe do some more drinking, something like that.
But it was too much.
Yeah, but then the night had to kind of be cut short. So now let's fast forward to 3:30 after midnight. Michael Beth said that he phoned his neighbor Jay Rosenbaum, the same Jay that we already talked about earlier.
Basically, Lauren's old friend.
Old friend from
Way back then, from a camp.
Way back. And Michael wanted Jay to take care of Lauren. Michael said that Lauren was attempting to get him to drink with her at her own apartment, so at the Smallwood Plaza. And that Lauren eventually went to Jay's apartment, where Jay observed a bruise under her eye. So the bruise was presumably sustained in a fall earlier that evening because Lauren had fell multiple times as she was getting carried by Corey, as she was trying to
stumble her way around.
Yeah. So Lauren told Jay that she didn't know how she got the bruise. She couldn't remember. And then Lauren took Jay's phone and tried calling two people. So the first person that Lauren tried to call was David Ron. And then there was another unnamed friend that she was also trying to get a hold of, but neither of them picked up the phones. So an hour after that, Jay reported that Lauren left the apartment, and this is the last reported sighting of her. Jay reported last seeing Lauren at the intersection of 11th Street and College Avenue, headed south on College, Avenue or something. And she was walking back. If she was walking in the southern direction, that means that she was heading back towards the Smallwood Plaza, almost indicating that she's going back to her own apartment. It's noteworthy that she was barefoot and she was wearing black leggings and a white shirt, and she was barefoot. And 4:30 a.m.
I'm interested though.
They just apparently let her walk back home like that.
Yeah, that's what I was supposed to say. I'm interested at how they just let her walk off like that in the dark. A woman, very vulnerable, very drunk, barefoot.
Yeah, it's also. I wonder if she had any time to get a little bit more sober at Jay's place, because she spent 1 hour at Jay's apartment.
Unless they're still drinking.
Unless they're still drinking, which probably would be very bad.
Which probably would explain the reason why she left all alone in the first place, barefoot and all. Because, I don't know, if you have a friend who is a girl and she's in that state, would you actually let her go alone
You know,
stumbling around barefoot.
I feel like on most of these occasions, I feel like I would be the bad guy and
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't do the right thing. But in this case, I mean, I couldn't just do it.
Yeah.
I couldn't do it. Like you too, probably, right?
I was thinking I'd be like, just stay here.
Just or like
Or here's a shoe. Or here's a pair
no,
of shoes.
no. It's like I'll walk you
Back home.
literally 10 minutes. Like I will literally just put on my. It's summer in Indiana. It's not that cold.
Mm-hmm.
You probably just need to put on a pair of shoes
Yeah.
and then you're good. This girl literally has no shoes. And you
She was
can't.
walking around with no shoes on.
I mean, I feel like I would definitely.
Make sure she's home.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, what would you do when you were 20? And honestly, I feel like at 20, I would do the same thing. I would still try to like make sure she goes back.
Yeah,
Because
definitely.
it's only 10 minutes of walking. Like everyone could walk 10 minutes. It's not that big of a deal.
And this situation is actually very obvious because your friend is literally barefoot.
It's crazy.
It's crazy.
Now, I want you to open up the file. And I looked around a little bit on the Google Maps. I was looking at the route that Lauren would have allegedly taken if she was walking south. You know, the 10-minute walk towards her home. And I did find something very interesting, I'm not going to lie. What I found was that you see those maps, all kinds of maps here, right? So you see there's maps from 2010 and maps from 2013. So if you would look closely, well, we know that Lauren disappeared in 2011. But if you would look closely at 2010, you would see that a lot of that land or multiple structures that
Basically, weren't there.
weren't there. They were built
Empty spaces.
empty spaces. So basically what I'm saying is that between 2010 and 2013, there was a lot of construction that was happening. So I don't know exactly what was happening on 2011, but I have to guess that there's a huge chance that these plots that I will be also showing on the Google Map, on the YouTube channel, may have been under construction at the time of Lauren's disappearance. Because look, I don't know if you could see the little dot that says last seen. It's this very, very small dot in the map.
I can't find it.
If you go back to the first map, 2010, the very first map, yeah. So it's like literally on the edge of the second box, if you could see it. No, not this box. Yeah, this box. Can you see on the edge?
Oh, yeah, I can see it now.
So-
yeah, she was last seen on the intersection right next to an empty field in 2010, but in 2013, there were
Yeah,
buildings around it.
So I don't think I'm crazy to assume that there's a huge chance that in 2011, when she was walking, this could have been a big construction area.
Or at least starting to.
Yeah, some sort of a construction. It could be that, it wasn't yet, but I feel like there's a huge chance that there was some construction happening. And then if you would scroll down to the second piece of maps, the second piece is already closer to the Smallwood Plaza. I don't know if you could see the small little yellow point that says Smallwood Plaza. It's like really small, below the first box. Just slightly below the first box. You literally had your finger on it. Can you see it?
Yep, I've seen it.
Yeah, I know it's kind of hard to find it when you don't know where to look. But it's literally right next to the Smallwood Plaza. Between 2010 and 2013, there has been pretty big construction happening there. Once again, I don't think I'm that crazy by suggesting that these two plots of land that I have marked in the maps could have been construction sites. And then we go back to the same discussion as we had during the Brian Schaefer case a long time ago when we were talking about Brian Schaefer's disappearance. Remember? One of the theories is that Brian was a victim of an accident falling into a construction site.
And was never found again.
Was never found again. So once again, with Lauren's alleged huge amount of intoxication, is that completely out of the question?
I don't think so.
But it's interesting, right? What we can see here on the map.
Very interesting.
And if you go to the last image, last map comparison, this is literally the street that we are now watching, looking at Google Street View. This is literally, and by the way, all of this is going to be shown on the YouTube channel. So if you are dying to know what we're talking about here, you could just pop in real quick and take a peek. Anyways, between 27 and 2013, this is the street where the Five Towns apartment complex was at. So it's unrecognizable.
Okay, for our listeners who can't take a peek into the YouTube video, I just have to say what we're looking at the 2007 picture, it's basically empty space.
Fields.
Yeah, there's literally nothing. Maybe trees. That's it. And in 2013, that empty space full of buildings.
Yeah, it's the same exact angle on the same street. Crazy. All right, so several hours later that morning, Jesse Wolf sent Lauren a text message, but he received a reply from an employee at the Kilroy's sports bar. And he was informed that, Lauren's phone and her shoes have been left behind. And then that's when Jesse Wolf reported Lauren missing. And we do have a CCTV image of Lauren when she was last seen. I don't know exactly where this was taken. Was it in the street or in some apartment complex?
Well, she was already barefoot.
Yeah, she looked like she's already barefoot. And this is the last image that we have of Lauren. So she's wearing black tights and a white t-shirt.
So I'm assuming this was after the sports bar.
Yeah, this is already, I think, close to her disappearance. And then that's it. That's all the information we have about Lauren's disappearance. But it's definitely not, it's not even the beginning of the rabbit hole
that you fell into.
That I didn't necessarily fell into rabbit hole. All of this is widely discussed. It's not some, heavy detective work. I would just say I didn't do any extra digging.
You didn't finish the book.
I didn't finish the book and I didn't really do extra digging into this case because honestly, I was quite busy just compiling all of the leads to kind of bring to the attention of our listeners that I didn't even have time to kind of dissect them even further. That could be something we might do in the future, but let's first talk a little bit about what happened after Lauren disappeared, and then we'll go through the clues and the leads that we have in this case. So first things first, 1 month after she went missing, in August of that same year, police conducted a 9-day search of the Sycamore Ridge landfill in Pimento for clues in the disappearance. So this particular landfill is where trash from Bloomington is hauled after a stop at a transfer station.
Do you know the distance between this landfill and around the general vicinity of where she disappeared?
I don't know exactly.
Let me Google that. Go ahead.
But I don't think there's a need for Googling the distance here.
Because they didn't find anything.
No, specifically because I don't, as I understand why they were at the landfill is because my understanding is that they were assuming that Lauren fell into a trash bin. So it's
Oh,
not like someone.
like one of the cases that we
Yeah,
talked about.
we had a case from the UK
Uh huh.
that had the looks like that was the outcome in that case. But they searched for that, so I don't think there's a need to kind of pinpoint the exact location because I don't think she walked there. I don't
Mm-hmm.
think anyone expects that Lauren just
Walks and stumbled.
walks and stumbles to like Pimento. I don't
Mm-hmm.
think that's what's happening. I think they're in the landfill because they're thinking that she somehow ended up in the trash. That's what I'm thinking. Or she was maybe discarded there by somebody else, which would be foul play.
Definitely.
And then let's talk about what her parents were thinking about the case. So, Lauren's parents have stated that they believe that their daughter is dead now. Based on her level of intoxication, they also felt that she may have been drugged while at Kilroy's sports bar. The family has voiced suspicions about the men that she was with that evening, as well as her boyfriend Jesse Wolf, since they refused to take Bloomington police issued polygraphs and retained individual lawyers soon after Lauren's disappearance.
Honestly, after our previous case wherein I forgot the husband Craig
Stebik,
refused
yeah.
Stebik, yeah,
Yeah.
refused to take polygraphs mainly, and as you mentioned, because it's unpredictable. We basically don't know what's gonna happen there. I kinda don't think it's bad to reject it.
Oh, I don't think it's that bad of an idea to reject this polygraph as well.
And retain a lawyer. I think it's a smart thing to do.
I feel like it's a smart strategy. I mean, like, I don't necessarily find it suspicious.
Yeah, me too.
So, Lauren's parents have not made any specific accusations towards any of the men that Lauren was hanging out before she disappeared. Lauren's parents do believe that the men probably know more than they have told police so far, and the men responded that they have taken privately administered polygraphs as well as one from the FBI because they do not trust Bloomington police. And I think, honestly, that's probably rational.
Definitely.
Lauren's friends and her boyfriend, Jesse Wolf, told police that Lauren was using drugs in addition to alcohol on the night leading up to her disappearance. Jesse's mother alleged that Lauren was asked to leave the summer camp where she met her son, as well as Jay Rosenbaum, years earlier because of drug use. And she said, "This poor little girl is not with us today because of her drug abuse," she said.
Okay, that's crazy.
So this was quite, honestly, quite tarnishing thing to say uh, when you think about Lauren's personality. But it is interesting to me. I was never able to verify was Lauren actually asked to leave the summer camp. But if it was years prior and she was 20, so years prior, she would be like 17, 16, something like that, at that young age to be having some sort of a drug issue. I'm not really sure what kind of a drug issue would it be in the camps because I think it could be like a ounce of weed, like something small, and then that's the policy to just kick you out ASAP.
But I heard, well, not I heard, I read there's a Reddit post about Lauren's case. Can't remember exactly which one, but apparently it was a local or someone related to a local student there. And they mentioned that there's drug use, drug culture in that university or around that area. Bloomington. It's kind
Yeah.
of normal.
Oh yeah. So
So it's
we're gonna.
nothing new, I guess, but at the same time, kind of understand why the men who were suspicious lawyered up. Because even if they are not, let's say they did not have anything to do with her disappearance,
They may
they've
have
been
had some.
using.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. That makes sense. On September 2nd, in 2010, which was 9 months before Lauren disappeared, she was actually arrested on charges of public intoxication and illegal consumption. And after her disappearance, police found a small amount of cocaine in her room. Jay Rosenbaum, one of the people that saw her, I think the person who saw her last actually, told investigators that Lauren had consumed alcohol, she had snorted cocaine, and she had crushed up Klonopin tablets that evening.
What is a Klonopin tablet?
Yeah, so as you can see from the notes probably, made some notes about it. So I had no idea what it is. Have you ever heard about this thing?
Definitely
Klonopil?
not. But your notes, they seem very scientific.
I mean, it's
Like
what.
a back of the medicine box.
So apparently it's a benzodiazepine. Diazepine. Benzos. I think they're called
Benzodiazepine.
like benzos in America. Apparently, it's a highly addictive substance, and it's used without medical supervision, and can lead to dependence really fast. And there's also an overdose risk when you do this clonopin. Clonopin, yeah. It's especially dangerous when it's mixed with alcohol or opioids, and it could lead to cognitive and memory problems. Uh,
Or even death.
yeah, potentially. And I was also kind of, interested how you could get them. So you need to have a prescription to get it. You just can't go to a pharmacy and get Klonopin. But people in America, and I'm sure everywhere else actually, are able to fake symptoms to get prescriptions. You could get it from drug dealers even, because drug dealers are selling benzos. So one way or another, we don't know exactly how, but Lauren did, according to Jay Rosenbaum, was in possession of Klonopin, and she was crushing them and snorting them. That's crazy. So on top of all of this, Lauren had a rare heart condition called the long QT syndrome, which added to the danger of drug use, and therefore police addressed rumors that implied that Lauren may have overdosed, and those with her, we're talking about Jay Rosenbaum, we're talking about Michael Beth, we're talking about Corey Rossman, may have hidden her body to avoid criminal charges. However, a private investigator hired by the Spierer family doubted that the fatal drug overdose could be enough to motivate to hide Lauren's body, because he cited that there was a humongous prevalence of drug abuse on the Indiana University campus, and he didn't think that that would be like a huge shock to the kids.
Yeah, and come on, these were college kids. Like, how well could they hide a body and they're still not speaking up about it? It's been years. Someone should crack.
So the police said that they did not rule out any possibilities, such as an abduction by a stranger. And Lauren's parents have previously stated that they do not believe that her disappearance was a random abduction. So I think maybe Lauren's parents are implying a little bit that Lauren may have
Someone was planning to take her.
or that she got drugged. She got drugged and she got taken advantage of. All right, so now let's discuss the leads that we have in the case. I'm sure there's way more leads that police have, but the leads that are available to us online, and I guess the ones that maybe law enforcement also focused on probably the most, as far as we can tell. So the first lead that I would like to talk about is the Hannah Wilson connection. So Hannah Wilson is another Indiana University student, and she is a victim of a murder. So let me tell you more about her case. 4 years after Lauren went missing, in April of 2015, Bloomington police announced that they were investigating a potential link between Lauren's disappearance and the murder of Hannah Wilson, once again, a Indiana State University student. Hannah Wilson went missing on April 24th in 2015, so that's 4 years later, after visiting Kilroy's Sports Bar, the same exact bar where Lauren was at during the night when she disappeared. Hannah was last seen getting into a taxi in front of the bar and driving away. Her body was found the next morning in Brown County. A local man named Daniel Messel was arrested for her murder after his cell phone was discovered near Hannah's body. In July of 2015, it was concluded that the two cases are unrelated and any similarities between the two cases were coincidental. But let's dig deeper here. What actually happened in Hannah's case? So Hannah Wilson was 22. She was kind of at a very similar age to Lauren. She was also a Indiana State University senior. So she was a senior, Lauren wasn't, She just finished her final exam and was preparing to graduate. She was last seen at around 1 a.m. on April 24th after being put in a cab by friends outside of Kilroy Sports Bar. So first of all, I would like to say that I don't think that the Kilroy Sports Bar, it means that there's a perpetrator stalking people from this particular bar. I think this bar is so big that it's just
Everybody goes there.
everybody goes there. So it's
Yeah.
not a big coincidence, in my opinion. Hannah's belongings were found on her bed, which suggested that she did make it back home at least briefly after she entered the cab.
And then what? She left again?
Yeah. Apparently, she left again. Her body was found hours later in a grassy, isolated area about 10 miles from the campus. She had suffered 3 to 4 blunt force blows to the back of her head. And Daniel Messel was the suspect, who was 50 at the time of Hannah's murder. And he was arrested after his cell phone was found near Hannah's body. So, on top of the phone, there were other things that led towards suspecting Daniel to be responsible for Hannah's murder, such as blood and hair that matched Hannah's were found in Messel's Kia Sportage, which is a car. There was also a bag of bloody clothing that were found in Daniel Messel's possession when police arrived at his home. I think it literally was that he was holding a bag of bloody clothes as
Jeez.
the police arrived at his place. What great timing.
Mm-hmm.
Despite this, Daniel Messel has maintained his innocence
Yeah, right.
throughout the trial and even sentencing. So he was found guilty of first-degree murder in August of 2016. And in September of that same year, he was sentenced to 8 years in prison. So he's not getting out of prison. I'm not even sure if he is alive. If he's still alive, I'm pretty sure he's not getting out alive. But he is planning, at least at 2016, he was still planning to appeal his conviction. And his defense strategy is that allegedly prosecution never provided a motive but relied heavily on forensic evidence. Apparently, there was never a motive established. Why would Daniel Messel just kill Hannah?
I don't know, because he's a scary dude.
Well, we don't really know much about Daniel's background. He most likely is, given all the details we have against him. But I don't have anything like specific about him. And that he also said that his defense claimed that the investigation focused too narrowly on Daniel Messel and overlooked other potential suspects and evidence. And there are some unanswered questions, such as how exactly Hannah Wilson ended up with Daniel Messel, and how she was lured or forced into his car, which remains a mystery. But I could see how that happened if Hannah was intoxicated. And there is no motive. But I would say they have a very strong evidence against Daniel Messel. At this point, I'm no judge and I'm no expert, but at this point, I wouldn't doubt that Daniel Messel is the culprit in Hannah's case.
Yeah, me too.
But the question is, could Daniel be connected to Lauren, who vanished 4 years earlier? So Ted Adams, Brown County prosecutor who convicted Daniel Messel for Hannah Wilson's murder, Ted publicly stated that he believes that Daniel could be responsible for the disappearance of Lauren Spierer as well. Ted Adams claims, clarified in his belief is that it's personal opinion and that he has no official evidence, but he is saying that there is a likelihood of the two cases being connected because basically, according to Ted Adams, Daniel Messel preyed on vulnerable young women, often intoxicated and alone. Lauren would be a perfect victim for Daniel Messel. And he operated within a geographic zone of danger in Bloomington, defined roughly from Walnut to Donut Street.
Dunn Street.
Sorry, Walnut to Donut Street. Yeah, Walnut to Dunn Street.
Sorry, it's just
West,
the timing is epic.
West.
Walnut to Donut Street.
Yeah, I was also thinking, like, am I reading this right? Clearly, I wasn't. And then 10th Street to Kirkwood. Lauren was last seen at the northern edge of the zone. So apparently, it was in the zone where Daniel Messel would be being a predator. And then also in 2012, police investigated 5 women who reported being harassed or SA'd in the same area. And one woman reported a SA in November of 2012, but could not identify her attacker, while others saw a vehicle or individual consistent with Daniel Messel. So there is a chance that Daniel Messel could have been the person terrorizing women in the vicinity as early as 2012. And Daniel's cell phone number was later tied to a 4 a.m. phone call in the same area from that time period. I have no idea what that means, but 4 a.m. is literally at the time when Lauren went missing. And you have to think about,
Who would he call?
no, it's not necessarily who would he call, but the fact that the call was placed from his phone number in the area at the time when Lauren went missing at 4 a.m., that's so specific because there's not a lot of people in that street at 4 a.m. So if he was there, this is crazy dangerous.
Yeah.
Or at least, damn.
Mm-hmm.
And if he was a predator, a Friday would be a perfect time for him to
Oh yeah, definitely.
be
Friday.
be a predator, And then his phone number was used in the location at 4 a.m. Lauren is last seen at 4:30. So is this proof that he was there at 4 a.m.?
Unfortunately, there doesn't seem to be much evidence on
And-
it, but
and
I
this-
wouldn't put it past him.
And this guy looks like he's a real killer because when we look at Hannah Wilson's case, I mean, I really wouldn't doubt that he is responsible for Hannah Wilson's murder. So we have a real murderer on our hands who could be at the same place at the same time where Lauren goes missing from. That's what.
Insane.
What do you think?
I would say it's completely possible.
And I'm thinking, how did law enforcement, so quickly turned around and say that he's not connected? Maybe they found some sort of an alibi or something.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have another guy who comes into the picture here. I know a lot of new guys here. David Hayden, and we have his claims. Hopefully you're gonna follow along with me on this one because I know this particular lead is kind of branching out a little bit now. We have a inmate who's serving time named David Hayden, and as he was serving time, this guy David Hayden, he sent letters to the court claiming to have information about another victim of Daniel Messel. And the judge eventually ordered David Hayden to stop sending these letters because, sometimes in like people that are serving time, they're like, gonna say anything to kind of
Be granted the
be granted like some good
immunity.
No, like bonuses
okay.
Reducing sentence or something like that. So he did send multiple letters apparently indicating that he knows this guy, that he knows David Messel, that he met him in prison, and that he is responsible for the murder of Lauren. But eventually the judge told him to stop sending letters. So I feel like the judge wasn't buying it. But I would say after all of this information, in my opinion, David Messel is definitely a person of interest. What do you think?
Definitely. I would say he's very suspicious.
Anything else you want to add on this guy, or shall we move to the new lead? Because this is all I have on David Messel.
Yeah, actually, I don't know much about this guy, and I can't really say much to make him seem more guilty. He seems like he's already
I think there's
doomed.
not. Yeah, I think there's not a lot more information than this. But that's all we have. Now let's move on to the next person. We have Justin Wagers. And let me tell you about, yes. All right, so let me tell you more about Justin Wagers' connection. On January 28th of 2016, the FBI and other police agencies investigated the property in the 2900 block of Old Morgantown Road in Martinsville, approximately 20 miles north of Bloomington.
Well, that's a little far away.
Yeah, 20 miles. According to the statement released by the FBI investigators, were following up on leads and tips in Morgan County regarding the disappearance of Lauren Spierer. The property was connected to a man named Justin Wagers, who resided there with his mother and his stepfather. Justin Wagers was suspected of exposing himself to numerous local women. Investigators searched the property with cadaver dogs, which indicated potential evidence. Anthropologists conducted a dig and sifted dirt from the barn where the cadaver dogs hit, but found nothing. Investigators also towed from the property a white truck that belonged to Justin Wagers. We have an image of Justin Wagers right here. And let me tell you more about Justin Wagers and how he may be connected to Lauren's case. Once again, he came into the, let's say, limelight in 2016, 5 years after Lauren was already, after she went missing. So there's a felony conviction in 2012. Justin Wagers pleaded guilty to felony intimidation after threatening to kill a woman in violation of a protective order. He told her to say goodbye to her family and made 44 threatening calls over 2 days in 2011. So we know that in
Jeez.
2011, Justin Wagers seems like a very violent and unstable individual, making 44 phone calls, threatening calls. That's obsessive.
Someone needs a hobby.
That's obsessive,
Yep.
definitely. During one of the calls, he said that he could slip into the victim's house and do her in without anyone knowing. And he basically made this woman scared to death, which is completely understandable. So for this, he was sentenced to 3 years in prison with 2 years suspended. And,
Just that? Kinda light, no?
well, he didn't really do it, he just threatened. And Justin Wagers has a long history of public indecency charges and is currently a registered S offender. He recent charges is that he is jailed in Johnson County, as of this report, for fondling himself in front of a minor and exposing himself to a woman in 2015.
Okay, so it's basically
A creep.
a weird creep.
Yeah, just a weird creep. And then I'm thinking, how is he connected to Lauren? So basically, connection to Lauren would be that in 2016, authorities searched the house where he was living in connection to Lauren's disappearance, but I don't think they provided a reasoning for why they would do it. And FBI and Bloomington police were involved in the search, but no direct link to the case has been confirmed officially by law enforcement. Justin's father, Doug Wagers, welcomed the investigation and insisted that Justin is innocent. And he said that he wanted the police to do a really thorough job of investigating the house because he was certain that Justin Wagers was innocent. And Justin Wagers' lawyer denies that Justin had any involvement in Lauren's disappearance. So what we have here is a creepy guy who is like, a completely, a psychological creep. He has to like expose himself. So he's definitely a culprit in some sort of a way, a S offender for sure. And the only thing that we have with him, why he's interesting to us, is because law enforcement actually went to his place and actually looked through the location.
And there was a hit, right?
Yeah, in connection to Lauren. And there's nothing else that came out after Lauren went missing. This was the only actual search that we know of that was conducted, even though it was never officially confirmed by law enforcement. I think some news media picked it up and they were able to establish that they were actually looking for clues to determine what happened to Lauren. So what could have led them to look through his house? I mean, he was a creep who was doing creep stuff in 2011, but maybe someone tipped law enforcement off that, Justin Wagers could have done it.
Or maybe they were just looking into the S offenders by then, around that time, and
Well, why
he
specifically?
was on the list.
Yeah, but we don't know of anyone else, just this guy. So I think there should be something specific that law enforcement know about Justin Wagers that we don't know. But he's out there now. Um, Now let's talk about some other leads, okay?
Somewhere a little closer to the
Yes,
main case.
let's talk about the friends. The friends of Lauren, the people that she was last seen with. So Lauren's parents filed a civil lawsuit against Corey Rossman, Jay Rosenbaum, and Michael Beth for their involvement with their daughter's disappearance. The lawsuit accused the defendants of negligence, alleging that they had supplied Lauren with alcohol after she was already visibly intoxicated, then neglected to assure she returned safely to her apartment, which likely led to her death.
That's kind of unfair, no? I mean, I kind of understand maybe they were really emotionally driven. They
To
were grieving, but at the same time, kind of feels a little unfair because I believe these men were also like drunk and kids, young. They weren't thinking straight. I
I
do,
I agree with you.
right? I do
I
agree with
agree.
you that like they could have handled better. Maybe walked
But
Lauren
is
home.
it their necessarily
Their fault?
responsibility under law to do it? Probably
No.
not. It's their responsibility as being like
Human?
good guys. But
Yeah.
is it illegal?
Nope.
Probably not.
Were they not thinking straight? Definitely.
Oh yeah, that's for sure.
But I don't
And who knows what actually happened? We
exactly.
don't know if they're innocent or not, but we're just saying.
But in this regard, like the lawsuit about the fact that they did not ensure her safety, I think is kind of unfair.
Me too. I completely agree with you. It's unfair, and that's what the judge also did. Because in 2013, the federal judge dismissed the suit first against Michael Beth, and then the next year, in 2014, dismissed the suit against the other two men, stating that there could be any number of theories as to what happened to Lauren, and without an answer, it would be impossible for a jury to determine if whatever happened to Lauren was the direct result of her intoxication. So basically, what they're saying is that they don't know what happened to Lauren, and it might not be due to intoxication. And if it wasn't due to intoxication, then the men would be innocent because intoxication wasn't the reason why Lauren went missing. Even though I do believe that intoxication was probably the reason.
Yeah, me too.
But still, lawyers for the men have stated that their clients have cooperated fully with police and private investigators hired by the Spierer family, and that all of them have passed private polygraphs. So, regarding the men, right? Regarding the men, the three men, or like the four men, or how many men, like five men that could be connected here, like all the dudes, right? I kind of looked at some of them. So, first, I went to try to look for Jesse Wolf, the boyfriend,
Yeah.
what he's doing now. So remember that book that we talked about? He is actually mentioned in that book, and the author of the book contacted Jesse Wolf. Contacted Jesse Wolf asking if he could provide some information. And Jesse said, I need $100,000. Then I will talk.
Okay, that's pretty weird. Or
And
maybe it was a sensitive topic for him. We
maybe he
already
has
moved on.
been, maybe he moved on and he doesn't want anything to do with it. And then Jesse's parents also made a comment to the author of the book that he's a, like they were like, stop looking at our son, this and that, So that's, I think, understandable because I do think that, they really believe that their son Jesse is innocent.
It's very interesting though. Lauren and what's his name again?
What do you mean?
The boyfriend?
Jesse Wolf.
Jesse Wolf's relationship. Like it's kind of like they were together for what 3 years. However, Lauren has been partying all alone.
I
and
think
all.
Jesse Wolf somewhere stated, or his father stated, that Lauren indicated to Jesse, and I could be wrong here, and I don't want to tarnish Lauren's like name here or nothing, but I'm just gonna say what I think Jesse Wolf's father said is that Lauren indicated to Jesse that she's also going to sleep,
Oh.
but she then went out somewhere. So that's what could be happening.
I read somewhere that Jesse was a jealous boyfriend.
I've never read that anywhere.
Kind of like a jealous type.
You read it somewhere?
Yeah.
Where did you read it?
Somewhere in Reddit, one of the posts.
Okay. I didn't find that information. It could be. It could be. I did find Jesse Wolf, modern day Jesse Wolf. I did found him on, obviously the only person you'll find people on these days is LinkedIn. I found Jesse Wolf on LinkedIn, and he is currently customer success at Criterion. He's a customer success at Criterion, and there's his work experiences, and yeah, he's been just doing office gigs, you know what I mean? Just doing some office gigs. Oh, and that's it. So that's what we have on Jesse Wolf. I did also look for Jay Rosenbaum. And Jay Rosenbaum, though.
Wait. Before we move on to Jay, I just want to ask, like, do we know exactly what Jesse was doing on the night Lauren disappeared?
I think he was at home watching the New York Knicks playoff game, if I remember correctly.
And that's the reason why he didn't accompany Lauren during this whole party shenanigan.
Could be, but I don't know the exact details. But could be.
Okay. Moving on.
Jay Rosenbaum, he had a little bit more interesting career than Jesse Wolf, that's for sure, because he's now a CEO
Nice.
at Actual Veggies.
Veggies, not wedgies, right?
No, veggie, like
Vegetables.
Actual Veggies. It's a company that makes, I think, vegetarian like burgers. So it's a really cool. Like,
Ooh, you're gonna like it.
Yeah, I feel like I would eat some actual veggie burgers. And we have Jason Rosenbaum. Now he is co-CEO and co-founder of Actual Veggies. Kind of cool. Kind of dig that.
Yeah, I'm glad they were successful after uni. Somewhat.
I mean, just office gigs, you know?
Oh, come on.
But Jay Rosenbaum looks like he really, you know,
Trying.
he's running Actual Veggies. It's kind of cool. Also found Corey Rosenbaum. Corey Rosenbaum, I don't know what he's doing. Looks like also an office guy in New York City. And he doesn't want to talk to the media about Lauren's case because it's bad for his career. So these are the findings. Regarding the friends connection, I do think that it probably would be what kind of line of thinking do we have here about the friends that Lauren ODs and they panic and they get rid of her body because they're scared. Like, I know that like is not very likely, it looks like, but like what other, if we're even gonna entertain that connection?
I think that.
What
Or
else?
Or one of them wanted Lauren.
Like SA.
Yeah.
Like SA, yeah.
That's what I was thinking, but at the same time, I really don't think they're like involved in this. I think they were just.
How would they even find? Because the search for Lauren was on ASAP. So, and they were just drunk teens.
Yeah, drunk college kids. How would they manage to pull this off?
Because she was reported missing in the morning. So there was not a lot of time.
Were there mistakes? Definitely. One on top of the other, but I somehow don't
But
think...
Jay is the last guy who saw Lauren. You know, Actual Veggie CEO is the last guy.
Yeah, but at the same time, do I think he's a little bit of a D-bag for not ensuring that Lauren came back home safely? Yes, but do I think that he did something wrong to her? No. I don't think so.
I would also probably say that. I feel the same way.
And this is just complete opinion. Assumptions.
Yeah. What else do we have? Just assumptions.
Definitely.
Okay, let's move on because we have a couple more and then I think we're done. So we have another interesting character, and this is very interesting. And this is another very interesting theory for me personally. It's the white truck theory. So there's let me tell you a little bit about it, okay? So one theory suggests that Lauren may have been abducted by a stranger, possibly someone driving around Bloomington looking for a vulnerable target. And there was a white truck captured on surveillance footage near where Lauren was last seen on the night of her disappearance. And police confirmed that it was potentially a lead. And one of them said, "Is there a possibility the vehicle could be involved?" Absolutely.
Wait, didn't that first guy, the first suspect, the creepy guy?
No, the second guy, Justin Wagers.
Oh, he had
Justin
a
Wagers had a white car like that or something like that. Anyways, so hear me out. We have a man called James McLish. James McLish. Looks like that's his name. James McLish. He is a recently released ex-convict at the time of Lauren's disappearance. James McLish had a violent history, including assaulting his ex-wife. He lived in a halfway house, a house where inmates that are on probation live. So he was living in such a house, which was only 10 minutes from where Lauren disappeared, and he drove a similar white truck.
Interesting. How rare are these trucks?
These white trucks.
These white trucks were in
2011.
2011 in Bloomington.
In Bloomington, yeah. Who could answer that? I don't know, A woman from McLish's past contacted investigators claiming that McLish threatened her, saying, "What happened to Lauren could happen to you." And then this woman also says that he killed Lauren and buried her on a farm in southern Indiana. So McLish actually agreed to take a lie detector test to prove his innocence. And it was conducted by a very well-known NYPD detective. And then he denied involvement and passed the polygraph test, appearing truthful based on the examiner's assessment. But polygraphs are not 100% accurate anyways. And no charges were filed against McLish. He did remain a person of interest, but not a suspect. And the white truck lead remains unconfirmed. But we do have a white truck image. I urge you to find it. If you found it, what do you think about this image? In the bed of the truck, do you see?
It looks like a human.
It looks like a human, and this is close to where Lauren went missing from at the same time.
But at the same time, the image is too blurry to actually identify if it's a human. Could be anything at this point. It just creepily, eerily resembles a person sitting down.
Yeah, that's completely true what you're saying. That's literally what it is. It's a blurry image of a truck, and the bed of the truck looks kind of bad when you think about
really bad, yeah.
When you think about that Lauren went missing, like at the same time at the same place, it looks bad.
I wonder if the police actually tried to investigate this.
So
truck.
I think McLish is the owner of the truck. I don't think it's ever established 100%, but he was living close and he had a similar car. Maybe even this car.
I wonder if the police took a look into this.
Oh, they did.
Footage.
Oh, they did.
Oh, really?
They did. This was a huge portion of their investigation. This truck was scrutinized by law enforcement.
Okay, well then it makes it extra creepy.
And then we have a couple other theories here, but I think both of them are lesser known. So one of them, or even lesser, listen and say what you have to say. So there's another theory about Robert Strange, otherwise known as Bodine. So Robert Strange is a former member of the Sons of Silence, which is a violent motorcycle gang that is spread all across America. And I found it. It has a Wikipedia page, and it seems like it's a legitimate motorcycle club, and it looks like it's an outlaw motorcycle club, meaning that the members are most likely criminals. And it's the sixth biggest motorcycle club in America, so it's a pretty big club. It has 300 members, and most of them, I would assume, are criminals. Or maybe not, but that's just the assumption I have. So he has no criminal record, this guy, Robert Strange, but he was somehow connected to Lauren's case. And how did that happen is that somebody made a tip from a relative of Robert Strange made a tip that Robert shot Lauren in a dispute over drugs and money, then buried her on his property, referencing her remains as very good fertilizer.
Jeez, that's a scary statement.
That's terrible. Lauren's cell phone records show no suspicious activity linking her to Indianapolis, where Robert Strange lives. Indianapolis is the biggest city in Indiana. Investigator Garrett concluded that Robert Strange was likely being falsely accused by enemies and ruled him out as a suspect based on available evidence. So it looks like what law enforcement or like the investigator is saying that Robert Strange is probably being set up by someone and that he most likely had nothing to do with Lauren's disappearance. Which I kind of believe.
Yeah, me too. It seems a little too far-fetched. And, I mean, the statement, very good fertilizer, is creepy, but
Terrible.
at the same time, I don't think Lauren...
He didn't make that statement. It's somebody...
tip.
It's a tip saying that he made it, but we don't know if he actually made it.
Mm-hmm. I don't think Lauren was ever in connection with
Robert Strange.
a dealer, yeah.
Yeah. It doesn't look like Lauren would have any connection with some hard-nosed enforcer for the biker gangs. It's like doesn't look.
It just seems like, in terms of drug usage or selling, buying, could be just within the university.
Yeah, I agree.
Kids.
I agree with that. And last last lead that we have, the last one, is a man named Corey Harmsley. This is a former Indiana University student, just like Lauren Spierer. He was arrested in May of 2012, 1 year after Lauren's disappearance. He was arrested after a shooting spree in Bloomington, and he fired into an inhabited building. He was convicted of attempted murder and criminal recklessness in 2013. He was sentenced to 24 years in prison. During trial, he admitted to heavy LSD usage and claimed memory loss from taking LSD the night before the shooting. So he didn't actually kill anyone, but he did open fire on law enforcement, as far as I understand.
Oh, that's pretty bad.
Which is a big no-no, and he got 24 years in prison. So after he was already convicted, he sued the Indiana Department of Corrections, which I think is like the prison system in Indiana, as I understand, for allegedly letting unauthorized people into the prison to film him. I don't know what that's all about, but there's another link to Lauren, because Lauren was believed to be involved in the Indiana University drug scene, and police found cocaine in her apartment. In 2016, so this is 4 years into Corey Harmsley's prison stint already, another inmate claimed that while playing cards with Corey Harmsley, Lauren's photo appeared on television, and Corey looked at it and said, "Man, I knew the guys that did that." And he claimed that Lauren overdosed on ecstasy while partying and said that the group panicked and disposed of her body in the Ohio River. Corey Harmsley denied the statement during a follow up interview with investigators. So that's all we know. That he basically said allegedly to another inmate that, oh, I know the dudes who hid her body after she OD'd on ecstasy. So is he referring to actual Veggies CEO Jay Rosenbaum?
Nah, I don't think so. I think he's pertaining to other people that may or may not partied with Lauren after she
She left and
left.
she maybe went to another party.
Potentially.
But how many parties could there be happening at 4:30?
Oh, come on, it's 4:30. It's still okay.
I
mean,
guess.
some parties would last as late as 8:30 in the morning, and then
Okay.
afterwards you feel like absolute garbage
Yeah,
for
that makes
partying
sense.
all night.
That makes sense. That makes sense. But what do you think generally?
Generally, I do think that Lauren, rest her soul, made a lot of mistakes that night, and she put herself in such a vulnerable position, and it was taken advantage over. I don't know for sure, and I'm just speculating here. She could have passed out on the streets, and somehow someone could have picked her up unconscious, or maybe she hitchhiked.
Ran into the wrong people?
Yep, rode a car driven by a wrong person, got into another party, maybe OD'd, and people panicked. But yeah, we could never know for sure what happened, unfortunately. What do you think, since you did all of this amazing research?
Not really amazing. I just compiled what's out there.
That's a lot.
Yeah, but all I did is compile information. I didn't really do any investigation myself. But I would say that it seems like there's a lot of leads.
A lot of leads, yeah.
I do think that I wouldn't rule out, at least right now, the accident construction.
Oh, yeah.
I
She could have
wouldn't.
potentially just stumbled over and then.
I wouldn't rule it out because it was so close that it's like it's kind of. Honestly, she was right there. She was almost home. So, honestly, there's huge chances of foul play as well.
Definitely. Yeah, I mean, come on. A vulnerable girl.
Yeah, anything could have happened there.
Also, I do think that the first suspect was so.
Daniel Messel. Daniel Messel, the guy who had murdered Hannah Wilson.
Yeah, that
Daniel
guy.
Messel.
Very suspicious.
Very suspicious because of many reasons,
Of the phone call
Phone call, yeah.
during 4 a.m.
That's true. Daniel Messel, very suspicious. I would like to end the podcast here. It's been a long one. I would like to ask our audience to tell us what you guys think. Who is responsible for Lauren Spierer's disappearance?
And maybe we have some locals.
And what happened to Lauren?
Yeah, maybe you guys know anything that's kind of like a local gossip there, maybe.
Yeah, maybe you do. So we will join you on the next one.
And thank you very much for listening.
Thank you.
See you.
Bye.